Welcome back everyone, it's Mindy with Mindy Egan Design, and today I'm making a card using the Stitched Leaves mini kit from Gina K Designs. First, I'll go over what is included in the kit. You'll be getting 6 white envelopes, 1 Stitched Leaves die set that already comes mounted on a magnet sheet from Stampin' Storage, and this die has 4 leaves and 2 sentiments in it. Then you'll get the gorgeous Stitched Leaves stamp set with plenty of sentiments and 8 leaves for layering. This next one is, I believe, the incentive set with these gorgeous flowers and sentiments. This Thankful die was not part of the kit but matched, so I added it to my collection, and also the Friend die that cuts the script words, also an extra that I added. Now the cardstock is part of the kit and you are going to get quite a bit. There is tomato soup, honey mustard, and fresh asparagus, plus some white half sheets and charcoal brown. You are getting quite a bang for your buck with this kit. For my card, I'm starting out with the MISTI tool because I knew I was going to be layering, so I wanted to get them as close as I could to matching up. I'm taking each of the solid leaves and stamping them onto the white cardstock that came in the kit. I also picked up some coordinating inks from Gina K, and these are really great inks. I'll be honest, when I started stamping these solid leaves, I thought for sure I would have to double stamp them, but all the inks gave such a great coverage, I really didn't have to. So I just went along switching up colors with my leaves. I'm using the honey mustard, fresh asparagus, and tomato soup ink pads, which I'll have everything linked below the video and on my blog as well. I have to say, part of the fun of buying new ink pads are the fun names of the colors. How can you not like an ink named tomato soup? I love them, and these colors are so vibrant and crisp. Now I'm going to do some heat embossing using the gold embossing powder from Gina K Designs. I'm starting first by just running my heat tool quickly over it to make sure the ink is dry. Then I'm going to run my powder tool over it to remove any static from my cardstock. Honestly, even if the embossing sticks here and there on my leaves, I think it would still look great. Kind of gives it that realistic look. Now that my area is nice and prepped, I'm going to take the Stitched Leaves stamp and line them up on the top of my solid images. With everything lined up, I'll close the lid of my MISTI to pick up the stamps, and I do kind of a practice run to make sure that I get them as close as I could and then just readjust them if I need to. Then I'm going to come in with some Versamark ink and coat my stamps really good so I get as much of those lines as I can. I'll close my lid and press down really good on all the stamps. You could also do this with an acrylic block. I just find that using the stamping tool is easier for me. Then I'm going to carefully lift the cover, and because I know the paper is going to stick a little bit, I'm just carefully pushing the paper back down. Then I can take my Gina K Gold Embossing Powder and pour that over the leaves and sprinkle off any extra onto some scratch paper. I bring in my heat tool to emboss, and that gold really pops off the leaves. It's so gorgeous in person. I will use the coordinating dies now and line them up over my leaves as best as I can and hold them down with some post-it note tape. I love this post-it note tape because it doesn't rip my paper when I take it off. You could also use some washi tape to do this if you don't have that tape. My paper is just a little warped from the embossing, so I'm placing 2 pieces of tape on each one to make sure the dies stay in place. Then I'm going to run that through my Big Shot machine. I popped the leaves out and now I have these gorgeous colors with the gold embossing. I think my favorite ended up being that honey mustard with the gold. For my card base, I'm going to come in with some honey mustard ink and a dauber and lightly lay down some color using a circular motion. I dab off on some scratch paper first so it doesn't come in too bold. I'm not too worried about it being darker in one spot or another, as I'm just trying to create a glow behind my leaves. So every now and then I'll lay the leaves down to see if I want to add some more. Once I have achieved the amount of glow that I want, I can work with my sentiment. I'm going to be using some vellum that I happen to have. I'm once again using my MISTI tool because I want to make sure I get a nice clean impression of the stamp. I prep the area with my powder tool to remove any static or oils. Then I'll use the Thankful stamp from this set. Since I can see through the vellum, I can use the lines on my grid paper to make sure that it's straight across. I'm going to close the lid to pick up the stamp, and then I can ink it up with some Versamark ink, press down really good for that good impression, and heat emboss with the gold embossing powder. After I heat embossed, I trimmed my vellum down to fit my card. I'm lining up where I want everything to go so I can plan out where my sentiment's going to be. Then I'm going to add my panel to the MISTI. I'm going to use this grid transparency sheet to make sure I'm lining up that sentiment nice and straight. I'll close the lid again to pick up the stamp and use the charcoal brown to ink up my sentiment. Close the lid and stamp. Next, I'm going to use the fresh asparagus cardstock from the kit to use as my card base. I'm going to dig out my Scor-Pal to create a score line at 4 1/4 and fold. Then I'll run my bone folder over the edge for a nice crisp fold. I'm going to kind of lay out my card so I know where everything's going to go again. For the vellum, I know I want to tuck the leaves behind it, so I'm going to place the vellum on my cardstock and hold it in place with some Post-it note tape. Then I'll flip that over, fold the edges of the vellum over, and adhere down. I love this Post-it note tape. I can't say enough about it because it doesn't ruin my paper when I try to remove it. But you can also use some washi tape. Now I'll place my leaves behind the vellum and start attaching with the thermal web tape runner that came in the kit. I'm just going to layer the leaves, making sure that the glow shows up behind them. Then I'm going to finish off by attaching my panel to the fresh asparagus card base. I love how this gold embossing powder looks on the vellum. It is so pretty. I hope you enjoyed today's video and be sure to check out the Stitched Leaves mini kit from Gina K Designs. Links are provided down below and also in my blog post. Please give this video a thumbs up, share with your friends, and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.